Yes, I am a sound engineer. And yes, I am having a hearing loss. And still, I am working with live sound. And that's thanks to this hack that I am going to share with you today. My name is Moneeo, and I run this channel together with my partner in crime, Moneeo. Together, we are Moneeo. In this channel, we talk about everything in our creative life, and everything that we do has something to do with music and sound. We are composers and sound artists, and we just love to build new music instruments, more traditional, and we love to make more innovative ones. We are in the middle of a renovating project of this beautiful Soundtrack C8, a 30-year-old analog mixing console that you will see in other episodes. A couple of years ago, right after COVID, I was struck with hearing loss, severe tinnitus and hyperacusis. That was, of course, devastating for a person that has sound engineer as the main income and has the music as the only passion in life. But I quickly decided that I will not let any hearing issues stop making me do whatever I love to do. If I can do it, I should do it. And I realized that there are ways that we can keep on working with music and sound even though we're having hearing loss. And I have researched so much how our hearing is working and what possible solutions that are available out there. And there are tools that we are using every day in our life as sound engineers, sound creators, composers, producers, and it doesn't matter if it's in the studio or at a live concert. And a bunch of these tools we can use in a totally new way that helps us working with music and sound even though we're having hearing loss. And today we are going to have a look at the most important tool when I work at a live concert or theater, so that even though I am having hearing loss, I can still mix live sound. And all that thanks to this hack. During these years I have learned so much about how our hearing works, and it's so fascinating. We all know, for example, if a person loses ability to hear sounds, the focus will change to the sight. We will start to read on lips. I can actually see what the person is saying. We all know this, right? And this is what scientists and psychologists are called neuroplasticity. I think it's such a beautiful word. Neuroplasticity. What neuroplasticity means is that our brain are constantly changing. It's rebuilding itself all the time, 24/7. If we, for example, have a look inside our brain and have a look at the part of the brain that is the center for hearing, if we're getting a hearing loss, that part of the brain won't get stimulated as much. And the other senses that sits next to this part of the brain, they would start to take over the part of the brain that is hearing. So when we get a hearing loss, that part of the brain will shrink and the visual cortex will take over this part of the brain, so that the visual parts of the brain gets bigger and stronger. The brain itself is only interested in one thing, and that is to collect information from the outer world. And the way the brain collects information is by ear, with hearing, it's via the eyes, the sight. We can taste things, we can smell things, we can touch things. All these 5 senses go straight to the brain. And the brain actually doesn't care which of the senses it uses, as long as it gets the information. So when we lose hearing, the sight takes over and we still can hear what people are saying. When I learned that, I started to think, what about if we who produce music or work as sound engineers could get information from music and sound from other senses? So with that in mind, I started thinking, how can we incorporate this in our role as sound engineers? What if we could use a visual aid, like a computer screen, to visual music and sound and we could actually use that as a sound engineer. And as I said, we already have many of these tools already in our studio or in our live laptop. We just have to refine the workflow a bit. One of the biggest challenges for me as a live sound engineer with hearing loss is that I'm having difficult to detect certain kind of feedbacks, like 10 kilohertz that you get from a headset mic or lavalier mic in a theater. But what if I instead can see that feedback on a screen? Then I can do something about it. So I started to experiment with real-time analyzers, RTAs, like this one. So this is SMART, which is a very common real-time analyzer when working in concert hall and theaters. As a sound engineer, you use it all the time. For example, when tuning a PA system in a venue, you put some white noise or pink noise through the speakers, and you get a visual representation where you can see where you have dips or peaks. And here's what it looks like when playing music. Yeah, we see the peaks of each frequencies, and this can be helpful, but it's rather difficult to detect feedback with this kind of tools. Let's simulate some feedback and see what happens. Here we have a 1 kilohertz feedback, and if we know that it's there, we might can detect it, but it's not super easy because there's so much information going on, jumping up and down. But SMART has different kinds of ways that we can visualize sound. Instead of using this RTA, we can use this spectrograph. And the spectrograph is like an RTA, but it's tracking over time. We can see the frequencies staying on the screen for a certain amount of time. If we do it, this clap hangs on the screen for many seconds. And with the spectrograph, it's a lot easier to detect feedbacks. Check this out. We see it ends up here as a straight line. And even if it's not that strong, we can still see it very clear. I mean, there are long sustaining piano notes as well, but none of these are as consistent as the feedback. There it goes away. Comes back. And if I'm not sure what frequency it is, it's very easy to just point on the frequency, and we can see up here it says 1 kilohertz. And we can also see down here, of course. And if I know it's 1 kilohertz, then it's just a matter of EQing it. And of course, this is pretty good, it's fine, but we can also make a lot of different setups with SMART. And my favorite is this one. This is my default setup when doing live gigs. Here I have both the spectrograph and the RTA as visual representation. And let's bring in some feedback at this point. It's super clear. We see this line here. And this is a real game changer for me. I don't do any live sound gigs without my SMART setup. But to make this to actually work in a real situation, We can't just have the computer next to the mixing console and just have a look at it now and then. Then we won't detect the feedback. We have to get this system into our brain. Remember, neuroplasticity. So I made a setup that is so versatile that it almost doesn't care what kind of console I'm coming at. Because I'm at different concert halls and theaters for almost every gig I do. And the trick is to put the laptop so I will see it all the time. And for me it works really, really well if I have the mixing console here and I have the smart screen on top of the console, and so that I can see the stage on top. Of course, sometimes you have the stage down and then you have to tilt the screen down a bit. But it's so important that I get the smart screen between the mixing console and the stage. Because then, as soon as I work on the console and move my eyes to the stage, I pass this screen. And whenever I pass the screen, I'm having a look at the right side of the screen, which is the higher frequencies, which is the ones I'm having problem hearing. And the same goes the other way. If I'm watching the stage and are going to do something on the console, when I move my eyes down, I stop for a split second and watch the screen and then go here and work it. As soon as I work with head mics or lavalier mics taped to an actor's head, that's where I'm extra careful, because they tend to feedback around 10 kilohertz. And I have pretty difficult to spot 10 kilohertz by ear. And I keep an eye on the crucial moments. For example, when a new actor or a speaker enters the stage with the head microphones, I keep my finger ready on the fader and I keep my eye on the screen to see if there's any feedback coming. And if there are, I can just move the fader down, or I can EQ very quickly. And the same thing if I change the sound, if I EQ on head mic, I always have an eye on the screen. And I have to say that this solution has been rock steady for me, and I can feel confident when mixing. Because if there would be something crazy going on in the higher frequencies that I can't hear, then I can spot it right away. And I'm using the smart system together with this measurements microphone, because what we want to see on the screen is the same sound that the audience hear. We are not interested in this case to analyze what's coming out from the mixing console. We are interested in what the audience hear. So therefore, measurement mic is crucial. This is a Class A microphone, which is the highest grade of measurement mics. You don't have to spend that much money on it. A Class B microphone would work just excellent for these kind of things. But since having sound as my main income, I truly want to have the best tools that's available out there. And this is a 10 Ease microphone, which is a totally integrated systems and is so well integrated with smart. So you don't have to think about the gain knobs or anything like that. I calibrate it once a year or something like that, and it's just perfect. Smart is also available as apps. So I have it on my iPad as a spare if something would happen with my laptop. Always have a spare of the tools that are important. I found a really clever way of rigging this so that it fits every venue I come to. We have to get the computer up on a meter bridge. And in most cases there are no meter bridge, so we have to get the computer there anyway. We're going to look at that in future episodes. So I hope you got some valuable insights in how I use visual aids to be able to keep on working with music and sound, even though I'm having hearing loss, severe tinnitus, hearing aids, hyperacusis. So if you are also having some issues with your hearing, don't let it stop you if there's something you want to do. Find ways around it. Because the truth is that no one has a perfect hearing. There's no sound engineer in the world that has a perfectly flat frequency response in their hearing. I'm telling you that. And as we get older, our hearing will start to change. And at the same time, our brain will retrain itself and adjust to that and find new ways. You can even listen to music by opening your mouth, but that's another story. Okay, I hope you found some good tips that you can use in your situation. And if you found this interesting, why not hit that subscribe button, that like button, and write something in the comments. I would love to hear your ideas on this. And share your tips on this topic. I'm so grateful to learn more from you out there. So write in the comments. So that's it for today. I hope you got some information that you have use of. And thank you so much for watching this video so far. So now have a beautiful day. Take care of yourself. Relax. Breathe. And we'll see you in the next episode. Ciao.